I'd like to thank all our members for their loyalty through the years, and if you are not a member, we invite you to join us.
I want to thank the Northridge Chamber of Commerce. 100 years, here's to 100 more. Everything you've done to engage not just businesses, but the local community, all the stakeholders, making Northridge a great place to live, work, raise a family, and own a business, most importantly. To the Chamber of Commerce, my hat's off to you. Thank you.
Railroad tracks come through here in the late 1860s or so. And the reason they stop in Northridge at the corner of Reseda and Parthenia is there's an artesian well there, and it still flows. There because they had water coming out of the ground right here. So there would have been a water tank thing here where the engine would pull up here, they'd feed it with water and send it on its way for steam engines. And that's the beginning of Northridge. Right behind Gresham, right on Gresham, and I think it's Ames, it's just right behind there. There's a little white church that was also dedicated in 1917. They've just celebrated their 100th anniversary. And that was the original first Lutheran. So this was a small Lutheran settlement, essentially.
And so it was originally Zelzah, and then for approximately 9 years, it was North Los Angeles and then Northridge.
Northridge is known as the horse capital of the world, all the way up into about 1960, mid-60s. Who was doing that? Well, that was Lucy and Desi Arnaz, and that was Clark Gable and Lombard, that was the Jack Oakey estate, that was the Marx Brothers. But it was the movie stars moving in that made the San Fernando Valley something. But Northridge particularly.
And my late father loved the Northridge Stampede, the parade that went to the north on Reseda Boulevard. Horses roaming around, and also at that time it was quite rural. You had citrus orchards, orange groves, lemon groves, and walnut orchards.
What changes us in the 50s is the university. When CSUN comes in, by then all of the ranches and farms that were here have dwindled to nothing. It's just gone. It's becoming housing. That has made the biggest impact, and the biggest positive impact on the area is the university.
In the late 60s, we had a professional rodeo at Devonshire Downs. But all the rodeo people have to get paid in cash at the end of the show. They tell the story how hard it was digging up all this cash on a Sunday. Guys getting a little too much to drink and shooting out street lights because they all were wearing 6 guns.
They had racetracks, they had go-karts. We used to sell and buy used cars on that corner. And now you look there and Medtronics is there.
I moved here in 1976 from Brooklyn, New York. Quite an urban environment. And we ended up in Chatsworth, which was a quasi-rural environment in those days. It was a lot of fields, a lot of agriculture, oranges, lemons, horse ranches. And I remember the look of horror as we pulled in, and I said, "We're living in the country?"
However, property becomes more the highest and best use, more valuable, and so we lose some of the things that characterized our valley years ago. We're sad to see some things go, like Porter Ranch, beautiful homes, but it was a great cattle ranch at one time, and farming area at one time, and so, as all the valley was. So things change. That's the only thing that stays constant, changing.
A fellow that looked just like Walter Matthau told me one evening, the first Friday night I was in Northridge in 1969, that if you're going to do business in Northridge, there's 2 things you have to do. You have to join the Chamber of Commerce, and you have to join the Kiwanis Club. And I did both of those.
People would join and say, well, I joined the chamber, but nothing happened. But what happened for people that actively got involved and worked toward it, it was very successful for them.
It gave us the opportunity to meet many people and build our clientele base and just create unlimited opportunities for us. And that's why we've been in business since 1962.
The more people that participate, the greater the dynamic among the people participating, and the greater the response we get from the community from our activities.
The Chamber is important to businesses in Northridge. I feel, for me, it's a sense of community.
The Chamber is important in a couple ways. Number one, it gives representation to the small guy, not only as a networking group where the small guy, the entrepreneurial type business, can network and promote their own products and still get the legislative bang that a organization like the Chamber can be.
In the early 80s, the Chamber, I contacted the Northridge Chamber, and they saved 300 and some businesses that were located along Parthenia Street from Corbin all the way to Lindley. They were under attack by the LA Community Redevelopment Agency that wanted to take all the businesses out and put in low-cost housing in that entire swath. And the Chamber was very instrumental in helping us save the community, save the businesses by cleaning the streets up and convincing the CRA to go away.
One of the things the Chamber does is sponsor a community newspaper, Community Connection. And we cover the neighborhood councils in that publication, and we help them to grow. Work a lot with community people on community beautification. Our education connection works with our schools. Our Senior Service Business Council, which we created, works with the senior community. So a lot has happened. The Chamber has seen opportunities for its members and for the community, and has been very, very proactive and in its efforts to provide value to the entire North Valley community.
It's a great place to live. It's changing, but it always was changing. You know, some people like the change, some people say, oh, the good old days, but we'll be looking back on this time as the good old days 20, 30 years from now.
The Northridge Chamber of Commerce had to be the best business decision I've ever made in my life.
Entrepreneurs meet the challenge and they step in, and there's never a vacuum.
I've gotten as much value from the Chamber, from the people I've met, as from the business I've done.
My crystal ball is filled with pictures of really almost like a Tomorrowland feature from Disneyland in the Valley. I think we have what it takes to set ourselves apart from the rest of the nation.